Hello. Earlier than advertised. Well, it was advertised at 6, earlier than usual, 6 o'clock ish. The Facebook Live tonight is a little bit earlier because we're going for a dinner tonight. We have a dinner once or twice a year with the local plastic surgeons of the in the region, and it happens to be tonight, so that's why I'm doing it at 6 rather than 7, so I hope that hasn't disrupted everyone's schedules too much. Got some questions here, as ever. If anyone's got any questions, then please do ask them as I go, and I should be able to see them. We've got a few questions here: shoulder tattoo, what to expect after breast reduction, and breast augmentation hot tub related question. So Lisa has got a tattoo on her shoulder, and I've said to her that it will leave a bad scar, and she's saying, why have I said it will leave a bad scar? And the answer to that, there's two reasons why it will leave a bad scar, or at least it's not that it will leave a bad scar. The shoulder is a bad place for a scar, and she's saying, why is the shoulder a bad place for a scar? Two reasons. First of all, there is a risk of what's called keloid scarring, which is ugly, lumpy scars, which are more common in certain areas, and that's the cape area. So where you wear a cape, your shoulder, sternum over your breastbone, earlobes. I know you wouldn't wear a cape on your earlobes, but it's your earlobes as well. So where you wear a cape and your earlobes, that's an area where there's a high risk of keloid scarring. So that is a risk. Also, certain skin types, particularly Afro-Caribbean skin types, has got a higher risk of keloid scarring, and so you're at a risk of keloid scarring because of the location of the tattoo, and that's where the scar will have to be. The second reason is that certain parts of the body heal better than others, and this is one of the things that I'm talking about with one of the secrets about plastic surgery and plastic surgeons. A lot of people think plastic surgeons always leave really good scars, which of course they do, but one thing that people don't consider is that we often are operating on the face, and the face has got a very good blood supply, and the face tends to leave very good scars. Certain parts of the body scar better than others, and we're very lucky if someone comes into the A&E with multiple traumas to their face. If you have a beautiful young girl who's got a cut on the face, everyone thinks, "Well, get the plastic surgeons to come and repair it because they leave the best scars." And now I'm not saying it's all down to the face. Obviously, we do a lot of spend a lot of time being meticulous with our handling of the tissues and the way we suture and repair the tissues, but also the face does heal well, and other parts of the body don't heal well. Classically, the back scars always stretch. The legs around the ankle, it's a bad place for healing, bad place for scars. And the shoulder, which is where this tattoo is quite tight. And that's why a tattoo of the same size, say on the abdomen, I'd be able to get it out in one go, but this one I'm looking at 2 or 3 goes because of the tightness of the skin. So the skin is very tight, and so I will be limited to how much of the tattoo I can remove, and there's a risk because the skin's tight of the scar stretching, and that's best case scenario, and worst case scenario there's also a risk of keloid scarring. I don't want to be too negative about the whole thing. I'm sounding great there, but that's why the shoulder is not a good place for a scar. But you know, that's where the tattoo is, so it's have to decide whether that's something, a risk that you want to take, having a scar there instead. We've got here what to expect after breast reduction. Should I expect bleeding and weeping after breast reduction? I don't know if that's Laura who's written that, or if that's actually Dawn has asked that. It doesn't sound good, does it? So if we're talking personally about my practice, which we are in this case, the way I do dressings for a breast reduction, this will vary from surgeon to surgeon, but what I do is I put a lot of paper tapes on, which sort of act like a bra when I do a breast reduction. What happens after any surgery is you often get a bit of bleeding from the wounds, and that usually happens in the first 24 hours after the surgery. And so often, as is the case in Dawn, because I remember seeing your dressings the next day, often the next day you get sort of blood in the dressings and it's all clotted blood and it doesn't look very good. It looks, oh dear, let's change those dressings because they don't look very nice. But I never do change the dressings, because if you change the dressings the day one, it bleeds again. You stir it all up and it bleeds again. So yes, you do expect a bit of bleeding in the first 24 hours, but then that stops, it clots, and then it stays in the dressings. And you might get a little bit of weeping here and there, particularly once the dressings come off, which is after the first week. And I think I'm taking your dressings off tomorrow, Dawn, if you're out there. So once the dressings come off, because you stir it up, you know, I do leave them for a week, and then you get a little bit of weeping. But so that's normal. A little bit of bleeding, which forms a little bit of clot within the dressing, maybe a little bit of weeping is normal. Obviously, if there's a lot, you know, if there's actually blood trickling down or weeping, or, you know, a lot of pain, swelling, then that can actually be a worrying sign. So don't take it as read that I'm saying to everybody out there who's had a breast reduction, if there's a bit of bleeding or weeping, it's okay. But certainly in the first 24 hours, there is very often a little bit. But if it's getting worse, if you're worried about it, contact your surgeon. If I'm your surgeon, contact me. You can contact me if I'm not your surgeon. I'll help if I can. But basically, a little bit is normal. But if there's other signs like swelling or pain, discomfort, redness of the skin, then you're thinking about infection or something like that, or hematoma, which happens in the first day or so. So there are other things that could happen that are bad, but in itself, just a little bit of this is not necessarily a bad thing. And what can I expect after breast reduction? Well, when you first have the dressings removed, it often looks strange, so it probably will look strange tomorrow. Because they've been taped up in a certain position, they've been taped up in the position you're on the operating table, and you're on the operating table with your arms out, and so the breasts look odd. So don't be surprised if they look odd, and I show photos of people at 1 week and then in a few months to show how they settle. So it does take a few months for everything to settle. The volume's put very high when you first have it done. Some people like that, some people think, oh my goodness me, what have I done? You know, it looks really weird. But whether you like it or not, when the tapes come off, you'll see that the volume distribution isn't quite right. There'll be too much of the volume in the upper part of the breast, too little in the lower part of the breast. That happens to a similar degree with breast augmentation. They start a bit swollen and they settle, but it's even more of the case in a breast reduction and a breast lift, because you're actually pushing the tissues up, and it takes a while for that shape to settle. When can I go in a hot tub after a breast augmentation? Well, let's expand that out to when can I sort of go swimming, or in a swimming pool, and so the answer to that is reasonably soon after the surgery. So you have a little waterproof dressing on for the first week after the surgery, and so I wouldn't get in a bath / hot tub in that week, because if you get the dressing soaked, it will probably float off. But in the first, but you can get it splash wet. After the first week, I take the dressing off. Then you have sometimes, again, a bit like the breast reduction thing, you might have a little bit of weeping or a little bit here and there around around the wound. So I'll give you a bit of gauze to wear in your bra just for a day or two until that stops. So let's say 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, you normally don't need any dressing, and if you wear a bra, it doesn't have anything on the bra comes dry and you don't need any gauze. Once you're in that state that the wound is dry, so probably a week and a half to 2 weeks, you can then get in the swimming pool, you can get in the hot tub, in the sea. We could have got in the sea before, to be honest. So yeah, I'd say after 2 weeks for the hot tub. Obviously you're going to be a bit swollen, you're going to be not painful, but a bit of discomfort. So you've got to take things easy. I guess being in a hot tub, by definition, you take things easy. So, but yeah, just in general, you've got to still take things easy. But the actual process of being in a hot tub is actually fine after about 2 weeks after a breast augmentation. I have cracked through those, haven't I? So that's my questions there. If anyone's got any questions live, feel free to ask them. If you want to post them here, then I will pick them up and do them tomorrow. Next week. And as far as I'm aware, we're back to normal. The normal program next week. As far as I'm aware, I reserve the right to change that if something's going on next week. I don't know what's happening next week, day by day. But yeah, if I know, I will post it. But yeah, 7 o'clock next week, and hope that's been helpful. And please do keep asking questions, post them here, email them to Laura, and I'll go through them next week. Have a lovely evening. I'm off to my dinner, well, in about half an hour, and so I'm going to check out, and have a great night. Bye.